Well, I had to bring it into the sanctuary today because yesterday we spent some time decorating. So, of course, when the Christmas decorations are out, you've got to show them off a little bit, spend some time in there. The sanctuary has all of the normal stuff in here: the Christmas tree, the wreaths, the candles in the windows, the poinsettias, and all of it is very nice. All of it's very nice, but in essence, when you think about it, all it is really decorations. And decorations are not what Christmas is all about. Christmas is about a baby in a manger, and it's also about that second coming of Jesus someday. So today we started talking about Advent, being it was the first Sunday of Advent, and we started talking about how the fact that Advent is kind of like the lost season. Lent gets a little bit more publicity because, of course, during Lent you've got to give up chocolate or smoking or coffee or something to recognize the sacrifice that Jesus made for you on the cross on Easter. But Advent really doesn't have the same bang because Advent gets overshadowed by Christmas. Christmas is such a big holiday for so many people, whether they're believers in Jesus or not, that it kind of gets overshadowed. Lent leads into Easter. Easter's a biggie. Easter's a big holiday, but as far as the caravan of holidays on the yearly calendar, Easter doesn't shine a light to Christmas. Christmas is a big holiday. So poor Advent. Advent kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit. We think about Advent in many different ways, but one of the biggest ways we think about Advent is the flyover zone. It's the days leading up to the big day. But yet Advent is kind of like daily life. It's that living between the reality that Jesus was born in the manger some 2016 years ago and the reality that Jesus is going to come back again someday. We don't know when, but someday he will be back. All we do know is that we're one day closer than we were yesterday. And so Advent is a time for us to live in the midst of the gray, to live in the midst of the mess, to live in the midst of the tension. So basically it's like everyday life, just with some nicer decorations. And so we started to ask some questions this week. We asked questions like, what is Advent? What does it mean to you? And to some people, Advent means that time of the year when you open up the little windows on the dioramas and learn about the Christmas story. For some people, Advent means, these little candles being lit. The Advent candles. That's what Advent means to them. Other people, Advent means exactly what it's supposed to mean, and that is the time of expectation for when Jesus will be born in the manger and for when Jesus will return again someday. For other people, if they're just honest, they don't even think about it. Advent just happens to be the countdown to Christmas. And so that's all Advent is. So we talked about what Advent is. We talked about needs and wants. Those are other things that we have to understand coming into this time of year. What's a need and what's a want? And God will provide our needs, but God doesn't always provide our wants. Not that he doesn't want us to have our wants, but he doesn't provide those for us. He gives us the opportunities to secure them ourselves, but doesn't provide those for us. We're asking questions this week. And one of the questions we asked was about, are we holding anything back from God? And I used the story of, my children, about the fact that, so many times when, my children do something that causes a problem in the home, it's not the actual act that is the problem. It's the breaking of the relationship that's the problem. It's the bigger reason. And that's hard for a parent to have a teenager to understand that. But it's really not the act that you did. It's the fact that our relationship was broken because of the act that you did. And it's the same thing in our relationship with God. Whenever we hold something back from God, we're in essence breaking that relationship, and it breaks God's heart. Not that God doesn't already know, because God knows everything, but it's the notion of God having his heart broken because of the fact that his children don't love him and trust him enough to let him have everything, to to let him hear about everything. We feel we have to hold something back, whether we were taught that we have to hold it back, or through guilt and shame we feel like we have to hold it back. Whatever the reason, we feel like we have to hold things back from God. And so one of the questions that we left with everybody today was, are you holding anything back? What is it that you're holding back? Again, we talked about that notion of saying the GPS doesn't work to find a destination if we can't put in the address where we are right now. And we talked about the fact that it was not about right or wrong. It's not about the right answer or the wrong answer. It's about your answer and getting real with God. And that's going to be the whole theme for Advent this year, is about getting real with God. About not worrying about what you feel you have to say or what you have to think or what you have to feel, but to be honest with God about how you do think or how you do feel or how you do face a certain situation or what perspective you have on something, to allow God to meet you in that place and to help you to take a step. That's what this Advent season is going to be all about for us here at Central. And so we invite you to join us for that. We invite you to be a part of this journey. As I said at when I was lighting the candle of hope, because today is the Sunday of hope in Advent, I was saying it's the question is, what do you have your hope in? Each and every single one of us has hope. We all know what it means to hope. But the question is, what do we have our hope in? Is our hope in money? Is our hope in a relationship? Is our hope in a job? Is our hope in the government? Is our hope in something else? Or do we truly have hope in this baby born in the manger who someday will return as the chosen one, as the Messiah, to basically reconcile the world? This Jesus that we keep talking about. And I don't know where you are. I don't know where you fall out on this. You might not buy this whole Jesus stuff. You might like Christmas because of the decorations and the presents and things like that, but you might not buy this whole Jesus stuff. Well, I invite you to take that journey with us for the next few Sundays, the next few weeks, and to ask yourself some hard questions and answer them. Don't just ignore them. Don't just ask the question and move on, but ask some questions, some hard questions, and answer them. Hard questions like, is there anything that you... earthquake. Is there anything that you are holding back from God? Is there anything that you feel that you can't let God in on because of your guilt or shame, or you think God won't love you or God won't accept you? That's a big question for this week. Are you holding anything back? Dwell on that one for a little while. Dwell on that one. It might be one of the things that you might be holding back from God is believing in him. And that's okay. Acknowledge that. God can meet you there in that place. That you're not quite buying this whole God thing. You're not quite buying this whole Jesus Christmas thing. That's okay. But journey with us over the next couple weeks and ask some tough questions and answer some tough questions. Do the work. Do the legwork. And just see what God does. Well, until next time, I hope that this week has a great you, and we will see you soon.